I have dissected the potential selling opportunity in London today, which we haven't traded, which is a pro-trend trade aligned with the overall direction on the M15 on the lower time frame being bearish, but as well on the daily being within the potential of having that complex pullback and continuing lower until we hit that target being the higher time frame demand, which is our first demand, and it's being the decisional demand, which caused the bullish break of structure from the daily time frame. H4 wise and daily wise, very strong demand which we expect price to target. So the only problem which I had in today's London session, if I would have traded it, are two things. The first thing is basically the position. It's that we are sitting in discount, and after price has retraced, building up liquidity, having that pullback into 50%, entering an inducement demand, would it start that new main cycle, continuing lower and targeting the lower low, which caused a second bearish leg on the M15, which is very nice from this position to sell. But now what I have, what the problem was here was that when I take that lower low, I expect structure cycle wise to have the retracement. After the retracement, the efficiency of the pullback, which needs to get met in order to start the new main push cycle and continuing selling, which means selling would have been very probable from the premium areas. And from that, after taking that low, I personally would expect, if price shows development and shows the not the momentum but the signs to push up by bullish inducements, like so, on the Asia range, this would have gave me conviction to personally buy, as all thought it would have been counter trend, but we were in discount and I'm expecting structure cycle as a retracement into the premium areas. And from these counter trends, short-term buys, perfect sells would have been from the premium areas and continuing targeting the low and main push cycle. Now the only problem I had with the sells here were that it was in discount areas. After we took the low, you immediately want to continue the bearish pressure and sell towards the higher time frame narrative, which is being demand. This was my problem. In general, what I expect is price to push up, but it didn't. It continued lower from the low. So what I've taken in consideration for this session is, first of all, that after price taking the low, as you mentioned, Danilo, you can't predict if price also, if structure cycle confirms that you would have needed to have the retracement. You can't predict when the retracement will happen. The retracement can happen from here, can happen from here, and can happen from here. So before me calling it a session, not wanting to trade sells before we hit premium areas, next time I can say that if we're sitting on lower lows with highly bearish momentum, because the momentum is very important, which I will explain. I think if I would have taken the sells, it would have been not because I convinced myself to sell in discount, more so, but because of the higher time frame, which I'm gonna explain in a second. Um, but what I can say for the next session is that after we take a low, I do want to see bullish signs, inducements, probably in the Asia session, for me to confirm that we're gonna have the retracement to the upside into premium areas and into the extreme supply to complete efficiency of the bullish. If not, if the price is not signing buyers from the low, I can expect a continuation with the momentum, with the trend, with the direction until price shows otherwise. This is what I've confirmed for this session, which I again refreshed as a information, which I knew before as well, but just I just didn't want to sell from discount. And the second thing has been the the price action, which we have printed here, coming into the low and taking out the low. Price stopped here for a second, pushed up, engineered a low, induced it, which looks very nice. And from this point on, we had a break and a test perfectly aligned on the 50% of Asia, which I would have expected price to take that but seeing the follow through from that break and test, we had another break and test which is as well a engineered high. So I personally, the second doubt would have been, I do not know if price is gonna induce this one or this one. What I would have preferred was exactly this break and test on the 50%, and I think I actually would have missed the trade because I would have doubted here price taking this engineered high, which as well is a inducement on the session open, but just the fact that um, I wanted this 50% of Asia, or I would like that 50% of Asia, I think I would have missed the trade. But anyway, now in hindsight, I can say that I don't know. I actually don't know which high price will take, but what I do know is that I anyway need to wait for the reaction, as I'm not gonna enter from the inducement. Which what is aligning very nicely is exactly on session open that we are taking that engineered high. So I do not need to expect if price is gonna continue higher, seeing that as SMT to induce the 50% break and test here. I can just wait, as already the timing and the inducement is aligning. I only need the reaction. So as I'm not gonna enter here, I'm just gonna wait for the reaction on the first M5 SMT, seeing the price mitigating into it, consolidating with two candles, having the reaction, a inducement up, minor inducement of the liquidity, which have been engineered here by the two candles. Price from this inducement on fulfilled the IFC above and had the follow through to the downside, which could have been the confirmation that we are not gonna go for this break and test 50%, but more so follow through to the downside, which could have been the confirmation to sell actually, being this lower time frame here. And not guessing if price is gonna take out this or go higher for this one. So clearing that issue, I just wait for the reaction. I take these two highs and wait for the reaction. Standard confirmation of the SMT being a mitigation, reaction, failure, and follow through, as we had it here. We had that M5 SMT, which had a mitigation, inducement up, failure to go higher, and a follow through to the downside and engulfing. This could have been the conviction to sell. Now, why I think that it was high probable for price to continue lower and not retrace to the upside again is one thing. It's basically the daily time frame, because if I look on the daily time frame, when we took the higher high, which has been here, price had a very aggressive follow through to the downside with this candle. So we had a lot of imbalances to fulfill to the upside. Seeing this formation, these three candles on the daily, could have given me conviction that we are not gonna retrace after this low has been taken, that we're not gonna retrace up to then continue lower, because from a daily time frame, a accumulation schematic has already been finished and completed by fulfilling the imbalances to the upside and fulfilling the IFC, and seeing this last candle with the engulfing could have been the confirmation that price could have the following day a very huge follow through and momentum to the downside into higher time frame demand without retracing in any way to upper areas. So I think this could have been the confirmation, or the doubt could have been cleared by saying, by analyzing the daily, seeing that we had after this engulfing a stopping price indecision, taking previous day's candles high liquidity yesterday, and from this point on, price continued lower and closed with an engulfing candle to the downside. So I think this day you definitely would expect price to take the low here. And by seeing that fulfillment and already rebalancing price, I do think you should have had the conviction that price is not gonna retrace up after taking this low here, and that price will follow through to the downside with huge momentum, because the rebalance and the inducement up and the accumulation and the fulfillment of imbalances and IFC has already been done yesterday on this daily candle. I think this could have been the reason for me to say that, okay, I can take discount sells, because we already had the rebalance of price here yesterday with the build up, with the inducement, with the mitigation, which has been, and a follow through, which has been a liquidity cycle to the downside. So I could have expected price to follow through to the downside from here and not have the retracement to the upside because of the higher time frame and how the daily closed, and because of the accumulation we had on daily yesterday and the fulfillment to the upside. I do not need to expect price to fulfill again to the upside and continue lower. So I think this could have been the reason for me to say, okay, selling from discount can be okay to do and to take. Yeah, I think this is the key takeaways from this session.